Hey everyone, Rob Terra here, and welcome back to the channel. So this video is going to be a little different than normal in the sense that it's not really a structured video of mine, it's more of just kind of going to be a rant kind of video. I've wanted to make this video for a while now, I just didn't know how to go about doing it, and I think this will be good for just therapy for everyone, kind of get everything off of their minds. The big thing is I want to talk about the state of Star Wars in 2024. And I think it's clear that Star Wars doesn't have the same feel that it used to have. Now, that doesn't take away my love for the franchise or anything like that, but it's clear a lot of what's coming out and a lot of what new content we're getting just doesn't feel like Star Wars whatsoever. And I think the biggest issue for that is that agendas are being favored over good storytelling. The best way that you can make a story for everyone, it can't be political, and you can't have agendas as the focal point. I think The Last Jedi is a great example of this. The whole Canto Bight thing about how war is bad and how everyone, it didn't work. No one wants to be preached at when they're watching a Star Wars thing. They want to be entertained. They want to enjoy themselves. And just even in the comics, when we go look at the new stuff that's come out there, we can't have agenda being favored over good stories. And that leads to just a diminishing quality of the product. It alienates half the fan base, which we've also seen, and it's just not good for the health of the brand overall. The next reason for why I think Star Wars really isn't in the best spot is due to subverting expectations and the deconstruction of legacy characters. Whoever thought that this was a good idea should be fired immediately. That makes no sense to me whatsoever. Subverting my expectations. They were definitely subverted during the sequel trilogy, and they did not age well whatsoever. Even subverting expectations, Mando Season 3, you expect it to be about Din Djarin, who has been our main character for the past, 16 chapters, 2 seasons. And I like Bo-Katan, don't get me wrong. I think she's a really cool character. I liked her in the Clone Wars, all that stuff. It didn't feel right having Bo-Katan be the main character of The Mandalorian when we really haven't seen that whatsoever. It just didn't make sense to me, and my expectations subverted did not provide me with the joy that I would have gotten like I did with the last 2 seasons of Mando, and the deconstruction of legacy characters. I mean, we look at Luke in The Last Jedi, we look at Obi-Wan, and we look at Boba Fett. Like, it's just a rape of characters. It's not even like, and I understand you have no source material, even though you do, and you just copy parts that you like from it and ignore the other parts, but that's besides the point. It doesn't work. I mean, especially with characters as iconic as these ones. I mean, it's different if you're going to deconstruct a character like, I don't know, Jack Porkins. Sure, go ahead and deconstruct him, but you can't deconstruct a guy like Luke Skywalker. I mean, absolutely not. That should have been off limits from the beginning. And then you did Boba Fett, which I don't even know if Boba Fett was so much a deconstruction as it was just not understanding the actual character itself. It didn't make any sense whatsoever. It didn't work. Boba Fett looked like a baby, just a giant wuss in his own show, and it just did not work whatsoever. Again, whoever thought that was a good idea to make Boba Fett a care-loving guy clearly didn't watch the, Empire Strikes Back or Return of the Jedi, or know anything about the character in the old expanded universe, because that is definitely not at all anything like the character. And if you're going to provide a new story, a new direction for the character, it has to make sense. And this one still just does not make sense whatsoever. And Obi-Wan being deconstructed is the worst. Luke is really bad, but Obi-Wan's bad. They're on the same level of bad. It's just, that is just so bad in so many levels. And the Kenobi novel's really good. And even the comics, which focus on Obi-Wan, you get the one in Legacy, you get a couple other ones out there. I mean, it shows he wasn't just some he was depressed, but he wasn't this old man who quit on life and everything. He continued to learn the Force, become stronger and stronger to the point where he unlocked the greatest, become a Force ghost, the greatest gift that you can have as a light side Force user. And to the new one, it just didn't make sense whatsoever. And when you attack these characters that people grew up loving, attack's a strong word, but change them fundamentally to something new that you think is a correct answer, not what the character is. You think. It just does not work, and we've seen way too much of that over the course of the past 10 years. And I think ultimately, apathy has set in for the Star Wars franchise, and that is something that I didn't even think was possible, but I even myself find a little bit of apathy in all new Star Wars material that comes out, and I think there was no better example than Ahsoka. I was kind of into it, and then the minute Sabine woke up, the very next episode after being stabbed, like nothing ever happened, they lost me. And I started to feel that way through Kenobi, and Mando Season 3 was not good. I did have some nice spikes from Bad Batch, which was nice and surprising, but ultimately, you find yourself not caring the more this goes on, which is just honestly depressing. And I think apathy is going to continue to set in, and here's why. I mean, let's just start looking at the new shows. Star Wars has become straight to DVD. Like, if you grew up in the early 2000s, you would have straight to DVD sequels all the time, and that's exactly what Star Wars feels like, which is such a slap in the face to a franchise like this. I mean, Star Wars, you can have these shows, like the Clone Wars, for example, is beloved. It works. It made sense. It filled gaps in between the movies. But you need to be making movies, or the TV shows have to have a higher quality and not just be there for the sake of content, which is what they've become. I mean, let's look at what's coming out. I mean, well, not even, before we get into that, I mean, new shows are supposed to generate excitement in the fan base. And has any TV show gotten anyone excited, except for Mandalorian's Season 1 and 2, which I don't think anyone's going to be excited for Season 4 now. And if you are, I'm envious of you. I really am. Kenobi, everyone was excited for. I think after Kenobi is when everyone kind of dropped off the ship. And that's when everyone was like, all right, I'm done watching these Disney Plus shows. I don't care anymore. And I think that's going to continue this year. I mean, shows this year, we have Star Wars Skeleton Crew, which is supposed to be a Stranger Things kind of series. I mean, why? Stranger Things is a cool show, don't get me wrong, but like, I don't think it fits in Star Wars. We're just kind of mooching off of something that's worked for someone else. Instead of being brilliant and making your own ideas, you're kind of just copying someone else's ideas. It's kind of sad. Bad Batch Season 3, which I think is the only thing I'm looking forward to. I found myself absolutely loving the second half of Season 2, and I think that could really be the highlight of the year in terms of Star Wars material. And I guess the bar's kind of set pretty low, but I did enjoy a lot of what they did, especially with Crosshair and especially with the Empire and Rex and stuff in Season 2. I thought that was phenomenal. Tales of the Jedi is also coming back, and I know a lot of people really like Tales of the Jedi. I love the animation style behind it. Unfortunately, I didn't like it as much as others did. I really liked the Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan episode, or Qui-Gon and Dooku episode. I'm trying to remember what the other one was. See, they're so forgettable, little shorts. And I did not like him killing Yaddle. Kind of Yaddle's sacrifice in the old Legends continuity was great. I mean, Filoni could have taken any other Jedi Master and you would have had the exact same effect. It makes no sense but he's known for this. I mean, we see this all the time with Eth Koth and Asajj Ventress, just taking characters that already are there and just making them something else that they're not, or shouldn't be. You know, Quinlan Vos is a great example. You don't need to bring this character in. You can make your own character and not ruin the other one. It doesn't make sense to me. And all the Ahsoka stuff, I mean, the guy has just got such a hard-on for Ahsoka that it's unreal at this point. I mean, she should have died to Vader in Rebels Season 2. It would have made sense. It would have completed her story arc, and she still would have been loved. And I know a lot of other people as well are just kind of done with her as a character. Like, she's overstayed her welcome at this point. And it's sad, because originally she was a really cool character, and now she's just overused, and I'm kind of over her. And then The Acolyte is the final thing coming out this year, and that might actually be the death nail into the franchise, because that looks like it's going to be awful on so many levels. Just from fundamentally not understanding the Star Wars to inserting politics in the show, it is going to be... to being set during the time frame of Darth Plagueis, and also to be like the conclusion of the High Republic era, which has been a bomb. I mean, I read half a book and I was out. The big threat is a bunch of like smugglers or something like that. Like, it doesn't make it. It's not good in my opinion. And if you enjoy it, I'm envious. I really do. I really am. I wish I could love it. It's not for me. And it's a really cool area. You know, a time period, the time frame between Bane and Phantom Menace. I think it's really cool. There's a lot that you could do with it, and they just did not execute. And Acolyte could be really bad. I have zero hopes for that show. It's not. I'm going to bet a lot of money that show's not going to be good. But even new shows, we did finally get new movies announced. But like, that should be so exciting for a Star Wars fan. new movies, Star Wars on the big screen again. And everyone just sighed together when they announced Rey Skywalker Palpatine would be returning. And why? If you're a businessman, if you're in charge of Disney, it really does baffle me. You're not even like George Lucas, who owned the company and loved it. And this was his baby, you know, so he had a high quality level that he expected. You're Disney. You just want to make money. You spent $4 billion on this franchise. You got to make your money back. You want to make money. If your goal is to make money, why would Rey Skywalker be a good idea? A very, very divisive character. One that is not loved by a lot of the fan base. And this is your first thing back in 7 years now, I think it's going to be by the time they announce that. Like, it just, what went through your mind? Like, you're supposed to generate excitement. That just murders any excitement. It's just, and then you have the director going on talking about politics and how this is going to be different. It's going to be a feminist film. It's like, who cares? Make a good story. It's baffling to me that we are still sitting here talking about this sort of thing and that they think this is a good idea. And I think they kind of took a step back when they realized this, because this Mando movie, Mandalorian and Grogu, really original name, by the way, it's just, that seems like just kind of a Hail Mary, throw it up there, you know, kind of idea, because this was definitely not planned. And if you think it's planned, you got to look and do some research, because I'm telling you, it was not. This was the Rey movie. Some stuff started to come out. It's not going to be good. It's not going to be liked. I mean, I don't even know if they'd get $500 million for the Rey movie. The Mando movie they announced. Now, here's the problem with the Mando movie. You're about 3 years too late. If you made a Mandalorian movie right after Season 2 when Luke Skywalker took Grogu, you were going to make $1 billion on that movie. Easily. Everyone was invested in the story. Everyone cared. It was going to be awesome. And instead, you have Mando, or Book of Boba Fett, which kind of completely took away the payoff we had at Season 2, and then you have Mandalorian Season 3, which came out, which isn't really well liked, and it's just like, yeah, this movie's going to do better than the Rey movie, however, you're 3 years too late on it, and honestly, I'm so over Mandalorian stuff. We've had Mandalorian stuff shoved down our throat since 2020? 2018 is when Mandalorian came out, if I'm not mistaken. Either way, it's been a long time, and there's so many other cool aspects of Star Wars that they could touch on, but they keep focusing on this small niche group, the Mandalorians, and it's like, really? I'm kind of over them. And even if we want to get rid of the new movies and we want to generate excitement with new media, what new media? I mean, I grew up in the golden era of LucasArts games, so I'm kind of spoiled in that regard. But like, if you wanted to play a Star Wars game, there was a game for you in any genre that you wanted to play. And we haven't had like a multiplayer game in like, what, since 2017, I think Battlefront 2 came out, was the last multiplayer game. And Fallen Order was cool. I didn't mind that. It was kind of Force Unleashed-esque single player. It was really cool. I enjoyed that part. However, what's coming? That's pretty much it. If you want to play Galaxy of Heroes, God bless you. I mean, it's so pay to win, I can't even do it. But, I mean, you got an open world Ubisoft game coming out. Cool. I mean, we don't know anything about it. It's probably going to get delayed again. And even with all these games, they end up not coming out. Look at KOTOR, the remake. That's also a blessing in disguise to have that canceled. But, I mean, you see all these things come out, and they don't announce and they don't come out. It's just a reoccurring theme. It's like, why would you get excited for something? They don't announce or update you for 2 more years, and then it just kind of goes the way of the dodo bird. You don't ever hear about it again. It's kind of sad. And even the Respawn Stat game that's coming out, I mean, I don't know what it is. When I was making this video doing research for what's coming up, I didn't even know that this game was announced, and I'm a strategy game player. Europa Universalis 4, Hearts of Iron 4, Civilization 5 are some of my favorite games ever. This seems like a game that should be marketed to me, and I didn't even know about it. As far as like other media, comics also, I kind of gave up on, and I'm a big comic collector. I own the Dark Horse Republic 1 through 83. I think that I have all of Star Wars Empire. I have all of Star Wars Legacy Volume 1. I have most of the Tales of the Jedi series. Like, I'm an avid collector of the comics. And the novels as well, for that matter. I'm a big collector. I think it's really cool to have it in a collection. You know, you want to read something, there's anything and everything for you. The comics now, I've completely given up on. I mean, the Vader first volume of comics, like 2016, I think, 2015, that era. I read about 20 of them and then gave up on, and it's just like, they're not good. And the novels, too, there's no novels that excite in that regard either. I mean, the good reason why they're not, for me at least, why I don't get excited for them is that they all get retconned, especially in the new Disney canon. You can make a novel, read it, get invested in the characters, and then 2 minutes later, they're completely retconned in a TV show or a movie. And my buddy Peyton, he's not the biggest Star Wars fan, but he likes Star Wars. He read the Ahsoka novel, thought it was phenomenal. And when he saw Tales of the Jedi and they completely changed the Siege of, that was Clone Wars Season 7, but when they completely changed the Siege of Mandalore, when they changed her novel in Tales of the Jedi, he was like, what? This doesn't make sense. You gotta have a continued continuity. You can't just be retconning shit just for the sake of retconning it. It doesn't work. And Filoni, again, for all the good he's done, he's kind of notorious for that. But, like, nothing really gets you excited out of anything I just announced. What gets you excited? Bad Batch Season 3? Tales of the Jedi? I mean, that's it. I mean, it's kind of sad for Star Wars in a way. It's just such a little, just not good. Not in a good place. And even the fan base, I mean, the fan base hasn't been in a good place since Last Jedi. Let's be frank. The fan base is so black and white on so many levels. You either love everything or hate everything, and it's so tribalistic and unhealthy and toxic in so many ways that it's really sad. You don't need to love everything that comes out. On the flip note, you also don't need to hate everything come out. There's no question I have not liked, I would probably say 90% of Disney's Star Wars stuff to come out. That said, I will always praise the first 2 seasons of Mandalorian. I thought most of Clone Wars Season 7 was pretty good. And I thought, if you want to go novels even, we can go Lords of the Sith and Tarkin. I thought those were very good, strong openers to a new canon. I thought it was good. And Rogue One and Andor are chef's kiss phenomenal. Andor in particular is so good on so many levels. And if you haven't watched it and you like good drama, you need to watch it. It is so good on so many levels. It's the only Star Wars show that I've sat and watched, and I've wanted to rewatch again and again and again. It's phenomenal on so many levels. But I disliked a lot of things. I like those things. I'm one of the rare people, I feel like, in the sake that I can like both things and dislike things. A lot of people nowadays just praise everything that comes out for the sake of praising it. And that makes you, and for the people that hate stuff just to hate it, you're toxic. But the people who love stuff just to love it, you're also toxic. I mean, it's fair to do fair criticism and say, hey, this doesn't work, or hey, this is wrong. But demand quality content. And if you like everything that comes out, you're never going to get that. It's just going to be content pumped out for content to be pumped out. And when you have the shills online saying that it's great, there's no just urgency to change or update anything. And it's sad. And at the end of the day, not liking something doesn't make you toxic. And I think we just need to be a lot nicer to one another in general. But that could be for most things. People are assholes just for the sake of being assholes. It's ridiculous. But ultimately, the concluding thoughts of this video, I know it's gone on for a little bit and it's been, again, ranty and not structured. If I was in charge of Star Wars today, Lucasfilm, I think complete overhaul is needed at every single level. It's clear that what they're doing isn't working. I think their box office, their Disney Plus viewerships, just the apathy. It's clear something needs to change. And if you keep doubling down like this, you're only going to hurt yourselves in the long run and ultimately kill the brand, which is honestly impressive. A reset may not be a bad thing. I mean, if you're Disney, I know the sequel trilogy you don't want to admit failure on. You don't want to say, hey, we didn't execute, we did bad. We took George Lucas's idea, went in a different direction, and they bombed. Don't let pride get in the way. A reset's not a bad idea. It doesn't make you better or worse. At the end of the day, too, again, you're a corporation. You report to stockholders. You want to make money. And letting Star Wars go away for like 10 years and not doing anything and restarting the franchise, not restarting the franchise, that's the right word, but getting rid of the sequel trilogies and redoing it, I don't think is a bad idea. I think that it would actually be a nice change, and I think people would get excited again to say, hey, what's new? They see if they learn from their mistakes. At least people would be interested, which is something they're not now. With all that being said, I expect absolutely nothing to change, and this content to keep coming out like this and be highly divisive and not entertaining in any way, shape, or form, and it's really sad. But anyways, everyone, that was the state of Star Wars in 2024. I'm going to hopefully do these videos every year, just kind of go over what's to expect from Star Wars for the year, what what's new that's coming out, how I feel about certain things. And if you like this video, please let me know in the comments, and I'll do more kind of ranty videos and reviews and stuff. I do plan on doing reviews when the new shows come out, but if you like these sort of videos, just let me know. With that, guys, that's all I have for today, and let me know what you have to say in the comments. I really look forward to seeing what you have to say. May the Force be with you guys, always.